Hey everyone, it's Wednesday and I'm Will with two guests here, as you can see. Today we're going to flip the script a little bit. So as you know, for those of you who watch me, I love having conversations with people who are change makers, who inspire me. Today, I am going to do my very best not to speak unless I am asked a question. And David and Michelle are here. We are going to talk about transformation. So as I'm getting ready, I'm going to pass the baton over to Michelle to introduce herself. David will introduce himself, and I will look in the comments to see where you're tuning in from and say hello, and then we'll get the conversation going. So Michelle, with that, I will mute myself and pass the baton to you, or the microphone.
Thank you so much, Will, for having David and I on for today, and everyone who joined us live and then who's going to be joining us on the replay. We truly appreciate your support and encouragement. And I just love this topic of transformation because it's near and dear to my heart. Transformation has been huge for me due to my own transformation journey, starting with a healing journey of loving and healing myself through self-love and self-care, because everything starts from within. And I just love helping people shine their light within themselves to see their outer glow. And when we encourage and inspire others, we uplift and encourage others to do the same. And then we have the ripple effect of transformation throughout the entire universe.
I will talk later. I'm trying not to speak, but I can't wait to get into the conversation a bit later. Who's that guy all the way at the end of the screen?
Hi, Will. Well,
Hey there, David.
Thank you for having me on your show with Michelle. And I've been looking forward to this conversation because we're kind of the three musketeers. We've been meeting as friends for over a year now, I think. Michelle will know. She's got all the dates and receipts. But
she keeps records.
Yeah, she does. She keeps notes. It makes me a little nervous sometimes that she takes notes, but she knows the dates. But we've been meeting for a long time as friends and supporting one another. And I just appreciate you having us on your show. And thank you, everyone who is attending today. Just a little bit about myself. Transformation is a big part of my life right now. Also, I've always been a spiritually minded person, spiritually oriented, even as a teenager. And I used to be religious at one point in my young adult years, but now I no longer subscribe to an organized religion, and I consider myself to be spiritual but not religious. And things really started to change for me in a big way when I started meditating consistently in 2018. And that just changed my life and created this ripple effect in my life. And it's been such a journey of self-discovery. And so as I started to change from within, I started to go through this spiritual awakening experience. And I started being filled with this desire to help and serve others. And I found that I loved myself more and I loved other people more. And so I started fantasizing about helping and coaching other people. My degree is actually in counseling. But I studied psychology, but I was always interested more in what is now called positive psychology. Instead of treating depression and substance abuse and issues like that, I was more interested in using psychology in a positive, proactive way, how to use psychology to be happy in life. And like most people, when we go through spiritual awakening, almost always it's precipitated by some kind of extreme hardship in life. It might be a divorce or a breakup of a significant relationship of some sort. In my case, I was laid off from my job. I was with my company almost 18 years, and the pandemic hit, and I was laid off from my job. And so I was just suddenly plunged into the great unknown. Here I was without a job and very little money, and people were losing their jobs by the millions. And I had no health insurance, and there was this deadly pandemic going on. And so it was a really scary, uncertain time. But it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it prompted me to get active on LinkedIn. I wasn't interested in any social media, but I had to get onto LinkedIn to look for work. That's how it's done. And just through a series of events, I started connecting with my soul tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so I started connecting with my soul tribe. It's pretty safe to say just about everybody here listening right now is in the soul tribe. Certainly all of you are. And we came together through Lan Fan and the community of 7. And I want to thank her. She's someone wonderful who came into our lives, and through community of 7, we have connected with each other, and the rest is history. And
I just want to interrupt for a second with the land piece. I really, truly believe I wouldn't do what I'm doing today if it weren't for land, right? I wouldn't know the two of you. We wouldn't have become such close friends. And, you know, we're a group that's all over the place. I'm between New York and Rio. You've got California covered, don't you, David? And then Michelle, you're somewhere in the same time zone, but you're not in the middle, but closer to the East Coast. But if it weren't for the work that Lan did during the pandemic and community of 7 bringing people together, I mean, she and that group has just been the how do you say, the blueprint for so much of how I approach speaking to strangers on the internet, right? So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm now going to mute myself, and I want to turn it over to the two of you, because you two, and I'll set it up. You know, we said the thank you to Lan and Community of 7, but we did become friends because we were looking at the content. We have something the three of us have something very similar in common. You know, we want to use our presence, our being, our energy for things that are bigger than we are. It's not about ourselves, but we're 3 very different people. And I have to say, and I want anybody that's watching or listening to this to know this, our monthly meetings, our regular meetings, there are often times where I would say, what would Michelle tell me to do? What would David tell me to do? And you have taught me so much. You've taught this big city, always on the go person to slow it down a bit. And that's really what I want to say thank you to the two of you. And I'm looking forward to the questions you're going to ask me, because there was no dress rehearsal.
Oh, yes. Well, you know, David and I talk a lot about transformation, as you know, and I just want to say we do talk every other week. So you sometimes you are not available to meet with us monthly, but yes, every other week is when we've been talking since December 2021. Yes, I'm a note taker, but I love our time together, and I really appreciate the support, encouragement we have for one another. And I guess, Will, my question is, how would you just describe transformation for those who are unfamiliar to the term? You know, David and I talk a lot about it, but what's your perspective of transformation?
And cut me off, you know, you've got a buzzer to do that. You're in charge today. Yeah. I would say that I was super interested in being something different, something new. I understood it was time for me to end one chapter of my life and start something new. So transformation for me actually has been changing. So transformation has so many different meanings, but thanks to the both of you, transformation now means the slowing it down, being intentional. And Michelle, I do this all the time when I'm in a mood or something's troubling me. It's the feel it to heal it. So I've realized that when you're someone, or when I think of my past life, go, 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 there was never any time to stop. You're in a big city and you're New York, you're always on the go. My life now allows me space and time. And that transformation comes from different sources. for me, and this shirt is for the two of you. My communing with nature is now beyond Central Park, right? It's in nature, and that's transformation to me. It is listening to that inner voice, listening to all the things that other people tell you not to do, and understanding yourself, or beginning to understand yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Wonderful. Beautifully said.
Well, your transformation is remarkable, Will. And, you're being very gracious in saying how Michelle and I have influenced you, but it's really, you inspire us as well. I'm sure I'll speak for myself. I shouldn't speak for Michelle, but I just already know that Michelle is also inspired by you, but you inspire me in a lot of ways and help me to grow. For one thing, I just admire how you just dive right in and experiment, and like this live stream show that you're doing. I just really love that you have the courage to do that and just experiment, and you're not
Thank
worried
you.
about making mistakes and being perfect, and you're discovering what you like, what you don't like, and I love the way that you're just feeling your way through life and getting in flow that way and just diving right in. I really love that about you.
And I really believe that just came from, it's your nature, but being part of large organizations in such high volume, high pressure, you're just always on the go. And now that you're that solopreneur, or you're doing it on your own, I'm embracing the messy. Because for most of my career, or the brands that I worked for, you weren't allowed to be messy. You were supposed to be perfect, and you were supposed to be buttoned up. And to any of the lawyers who may be watching this, I love you all, but when you've got lawyers and all of that in your business all the time, you're afraid of making a mistake. So I think, David, what you're speaking to is now I just want to embrace it. I want to use the colors I want to use on my brand. If I have a show and nobody watches, I won't do it anymore. And that freedom of experimentation. It goes back to Michelle's question of the transformation. I don't know how to say this other than I just don't care about the opinions of everyone, right? Your opinions matter to me, my family, my husband, everybody, friends. You're part of a community, but when you were someone who was a people pleaser their entire life, and in the hospitality business, you were supposed to please everyone, and in life you just can't do that. So I think that's helped my transformation, because you let go of some baggage that is so ingrained in you, and I think it's so super helpful. That did come out of conversations with the two of you, as I'm trying to look for 1 million viewers and get this gig, and I'm trying to do all of this kind of stuff. I realized, nope, slowing it down and doing what's right for you and not taking everybody's advice is the best way to become who you're meant to be. So, thank you.
How do you discern who to listen to for advice and who not to listen to?
I've been thinking about that a tremendous amount lately. Now, as you know, I'm immersed in a language that is not my own, right? I'm not fluent in Portuguese. I understand 90%. I speak clumsily, but I find that different cultures, people will give you their opinion without being asked. And so now, obviously, if I were going to build a home or work on a project, I will take the opinion of someone who's built homes and maybe is an architect. I'm not going to take some random person. So I try to get to know the person. I certainly do. I'm no longer welcome unasked for opinions. And if someone gives them, I will, have that conversation. There's no need for you to give, there's no need for me to give my opinion to you unless you've asked me for it. So I think I try to get to know the person that's in front of me. I'm trying to understand the intent. And so if it's someone that just doesn't know anything about the subject matter, I will, as politely as possible, as kindly as possible, just not pay attention to it. If that answers your question. Because people love to give their opinion, but don't you dare give your opinion to them. You know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Very much, yes. Will, what has been your biggest aha moment so far in your personal transformation that you've experienced?
I would say I realized those decisions that I need to make are mine alone. And as much, I'm married and I have family, I realized some of the decisions that I was making and that inner voice, some may call it a calling to do more to be more than who I used to be. It comes from within. And the aha moment was in my transition from, full-time employee with a title to doing what I'm doing now. Many people thought I lost my mind. They thought I was crazy. They tried to talk me out of it. You're on this trajectory. Why would you do such a thing? And I realized my life is my life. Everyone can give opinions, but I'm in this vessel. I go to sleep at night with my head on the pillow. If it's not bringing me energy and if I'm not excited by it, then I can't do it. So that was the piece that, follow the energy, Will. Follow that. What's that thing? Is it this broadcast? Is it doing the audio? Is it connecting with people? If that's bringing you energy, then do more of that. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid. So it's following your energy and don't be afraid of failing. So many people are afraid of failing. I was afraid of failing for most of my life. And failure is not failure. Failure is just a lesson. You're just supposed to pick up and go and say, okay, what was that supposed to teach me?
Yeah, failure is growth. That's how we evolve.
So that's my answer. That was, okay, you're doing this. You come into this world alone, you out alone, and it's the both of you know, because you know me personally, both my parents, losing them, they taught me watching my parents, and their situations were different. They taught me how to live. They taught me how to pass away, and kind of all the lessons they planted over the years. It's like, oh, that's what they meant. That's what they meant. And it's just been wonderful. So I'm going to look at the comments because they seem to be blowing up. So cue up your next question.
Well, I love that you're following your heart, Will, and you're living in flow, and you're following your bliss. And actually, that's something that I have learned more from Lan. One of the things that I learned from Lan is to identify my core values, and that was actually really difficult for me because there's so many things that I value. How do I narrow it down to 5 or 7 values? But one of my core values is happiness or joy, and I base a lot of my life decisions on how much joy will this give me, how much happiness will this give me to do this, because I think it's safe to say that we all want to live a happier life, and so I think that's an important thing to factor into our life decisions, especially important life decisions, is how much joy is this going to give me? How much happiness will I get from this? And I just love that you are doing that you are following your bliss, as Joseph Campbell says to do.
You just made me thought of something, and Helen, our dear friend Helen, popped up on screen. I just love it. Try the Jewish culture. The joke is that if there are 5 Jewish people in the room, you'll get 10 opinions. Helen, I have to one-up you on that. If there are 5 Brazilians in the room, you'll get about 50 opinions. Try getting sick and asking somebody what medicine to take because you have a cold.
And speaking of community, that's the thing about like-minded souls. Like our 3, we have separate communities, but the like-minded people within the 3 of us, it's just really mind-blowing of the equivalency of the kindred spirits that have connected within like individually, and then they see each other, each of us comment on each other's post, and then they resonate with what we say, just like how Community of Seven did with us. So it's been very wonderful to see our communities come together. That's what LinkedIn's all about.
There's not, I don't think it's been an accident. And I love here that Kendall wrote, understanding your core values. One of the things that landed in Community of Seven, and you two were probably there during the show, but when you talk about your core values, what are the 4 things that you need to have in your life? The connection, the power, we have the similar thing. And if you're not living up to your core values, you're not really you. You have to do that. And it's easier said than done, right, Michelle? Right, David? To tell people, live your core values, but not everybody even understands what their core values are. That takes time. That really takes time. And communities like Community of Seven, what you guys are building, what I'm trying to build, you have these daily conversations, right? You're having this network of support and people that actually understand what you're trying to do. And I just think it's totally wonderful. And I'm looking forward to more questions from the two of you.
Just one point for that is I truly believe, being real, raw, vulnerable, and authentic. Authenticity has been the key to just like being ourselves, to lowering the walls that, once I had built up to, trust people. And when you're just being your authentic self, you attract the people that you want to be, supportive with you.
No, that's why I love the platform of LinkedIn. I'm experimenting, as David pointed out earlier, with tons of social media, and it's been wonderful. But there is something very specific about LinkedIn and the community of support, and it's being positive. It's been wonderful, and I wouldn't know the two of you. I mean, honestly and truly, and it's just been an incredible ride. So I'm ready for more questions, coaches.
That authenticity that you talked about, Michelle, is just so important, because that's the only way that we will find our true tribe, is by being ourselves. Because if we're trying to be something other than ourselves, we're going to attract people on a different vibration. And so the only way to find your real soul tribe is to be yourself. And then not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to vibe with you, but the right ones will. And that's why there is so much crossover between our connections, because we're all on a similar wavelength. And I get such an exchange of positive energy like when we post and people comment on our posts. I can literally feel the positive vibes in their comments, and it's just beautiful. And it's so uplifting. I get like a natural high from it. I really love creating posts, and the engagement is one of my favorite things about it.
I have a question I know I'm not supposed to ask, but I want to ask what David just said, touch upon what David said. Don't you also miss some people? Like, hey, where's so-and-so? They haven't commented. They haven't been around. I hope they're okay.
Yes.
I can receive messages, is everything okay? I didn't see you, where you've been. I think that's incredible. And it's not coming from a sales pitch place, right? It's not at all. It's genuine connections of people who are supporting one another. To me, I define it, or I look at it as the abundance. There's room for everyone, right? We stick the name coach in our titles and what we do and what we, different clients, but there's room for everyone. How many people are on earth? How many different businesses are there? And I think it's just great. I wish, and I think the three of us are doing this in our own communities, our joint community as well. We are trying to encourage people to be just that. There's room for everyone. Lift one another up. I'm not trying to copy David. David's not trying to copy Michelle. We just show up as who we are. And I think that's super powerful. And the world needs more of it. So I think when there are three people on screen like this who are willing to do that and spend their energy to do it, hooray for us. Is that even the right thing to say? But I think people I don't know about you. I think people look to content. You're looking to what's on social media, LinkedIn in particular, and we try to see ourselves in others, and no one's any one thing. So there could be in this conversation people like, oh, David's got a really mellow vibe, or Michelle, she's super on top of things. I think that's fantastic, and that's what I hope more. It starts to happen more and more with bringing our communities together. Cindy, who's jumping all over here, she's up on the screen. Cindy created her own community. She was tired of the social media and being spammed and hit. So she created something that was her own. I need to be more involved. Yes, Cindy, I will. I'll try. I'll be a better person. But what she has created is authentically Cindy, and that should be celebrated. It's wonderful. So thank you, Cindy. Okay, I'm ready for the next questions, guys.
Well, I'll just say, first of all, that I love your abundance mentality, Will, rather than a scarcity mentality, that, it's not a competition, that someone else's blessings don't take away from our own, and that has a lot to do with just trusting in God, the universe, spirit, whatever word you want to use, that we can just trust in that the right people will come to us, it'll just happen naturally and organically. And again, your vibe attracts your tribe, and likewise, your vibe will attract the right clients for you. And that's how it just happens really naturally that way.
I'm not supposed to ask questions, but I'm going to ask questions. I can clearly remember meeting the both of you just on Lan's Zoom screen, and just the questions that people had, and the smiles on your face. And I just thought, okay, this is, I hope I can do something. I was terrified of Lan the first time I reached out to her. Absolutely terrified. I thought she was this big, huge, celebrity, right? Because she created what she created. And then you have that one-on-one call. And I'm like, no, people are people. She's created something that's wonderful. And I'm so glad that, what is it? 2 years, Michelle?
August,
More.
2 years. We are going to meet by the end of the year in person.
Yes, somewhere on Earth. We're going to meet somewhere in the States, or somewhere down in South America, or maybe the Caribbean. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Looking really good right about now, I gotta say. But
Very much.
I yearn for that. I am so grateful for Zoom. I never even heard of Zoom until I got on LinkedIn and had to look for work. But I'm really grateful for Zoom because I've been able to meet people all around the world that are in our soul tribe. But I yearn to meet with people in person now. As wonderful as Zoom is, it's just not the same as being in the physical presence of other people. So I can't wait to hug you guys and be in your presence sometime soon.
Yeah, we had the conversation, I think, sometime in the last month. How tall are you? I picture you this height. There's something very, very different about meeting people in person. I love that you can actually get someone's energy and vibe through calls like this, right? We're having this conversation in front of, I don't know how many people, but 3 of us. You can pick up vibes. I love that sometimes when we get on the call, David will ask, "Are you okay, Michelle? You having a good day?" Or Michelle can say, "Well, your vibe is off." I think that's incredible through this medium and through this ability. And I think that there's all sorts of criticism about social media and what it means. But I think if there are those of us that are doing it responsibly, right, and doing it with the intent to actually make our communities a better place, I think that's all we can ask for. I'm paying attention to the time. We're already at the half-hour mark. I wanted to see if you guys are good for another 10 minutes. And see if anybody in the audience has any questions they want to pop up on the screen, and I could pop them in. So Michelle, back over to you.
I guess what's one of the best advice that we have given you other than what you have said, other than the feel it to heal it with me, but are there any other things that stuck out for you that David and or I said that you really have stuck with you?
Um, so I'll start with you, Michelle. Michelle, besides the feel it to heal it, you're also someone who is direct, and you are someone who shares what you're thinking without hesitation. So I can't remember anything in particular, but I love that about you because you are able to just directly tell someone what they need to know or need to understand. And your directness is something that I admire. And David, with you, you have a calm about you. I used to have a calm about me, and I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's too much coffee, but you have a soothing presence that I admire. So when you ask your questions or when we're discussing a topic, I just love your approach, and it's different than Michelle's. You're asking and kind of conveying the same thing, but each of you come as your authentic self, as your real self, and in those situations, my personal journey of changing my life, changing my residence, trying to see a little bit more of the world, I never understood the power of slowing down. I didn't appreciate silence. I didn't appreciate just stillness. And I think those are the things both of you taught me in different ways. And that's something that I'm probably not the person you would approach for stillness and calm and quiet as much as I appreciate it. I'm probably more the person you'd want if you needed to do some team building stuff or events, right? Because I love to be in that arena and that energy. But you can't have that energy and you can't do what people like I do unless you take the time for self-care and slowing it down and listening to yourself. So it's that yin yang and it's that balance that I think is fantastic. I'm going to check the comments, see if anybody has a question for
I'm a big believer in balance. That's actually a huge part of what ZenZoom is about. It's about balance. ZenZoom is actually inspired by the yin yang symbol, and we need both. We need Zen is that going within and being silent and still and connecting with spirit and our higher self and contemplation and imagineering and then Zoom is taking inspired action and the manifestation into the 3D and how our inner transformation affects our relationships of all types. That when we transform ourselves, that affects our relationships and then our community and ultimately the world, which is something that I think we're all coming together and sharing our unique gifts. We've got introverts and extroverts, and we've got all these different character traits, and they're all needed. And actually, that's something that I love about the Super Freaks movement is
yes, that's really
we're all coming together and sharing our gifts for something greater than ourselves. And I really believe that we're in the very early stages of a global transformation, a spiritual awakening and global transformation. And I really believe that all of us incarnated at this time to be a part of that process, to help facilitate that global transformation. And we all have our own unique gifts, and we all need to share our unique and special gifts towards that means, because I'm paraphrasing, but I can do things you cannot, you can do things I cannot,
absolutely.
And together we can do great things. That's Mother Teresa. And
absolutely. I want to make sure that everybody knows how to contact you. I think that what you've been part of and what Alden has created with Super Freaks is so uplifting, right? It's along the lines of what Cindy's trying to do. You're trying to create these communities where everybody supports one another, and everyone is welcome. I just want to add, I agree with the two of you, and we've had this conversation. We are in an emerging era, or we're in this era where understanding people and their energy and their connection. I knew something within needed to change, and I went for that change. And as I went for the change and kept following that energy, I'm now living in a completely different culture. And I'm losing, not losing, I'm not interested in words. I'm not interested necessarily in vocabulary because I'm in a different language. You can feel someone's energy. You're in a store, you're in a bank, you're working with people, you're on a subway, you're somewhere connecting with other people who don't understand a word you're saying. They know you're a foreigner, but you can connect. And I, for one, never developed that side of myself. I may have done some of that instinctually, being in a city like New York with tourists, but that's what's pulling me. Like, how do I go towards that sort of energy? Because it isn't specifically one language, one country, one culture. People are hurting, and people are seeking that kind of connection and that light. And so the more that the three of us can use our power to do that, whether it be one-on-one or with a larger group, I think it's so powerful. I'm making sure of the time here. It's 1:37. I'm going to bring up how to connect with both of you. How do you guys, since you're the host, how do you guys want to start to wrap things up? Anything in particular you want to ask or say?
One thing that I want to say is just like, kindness, you're, the king of kindness, Will, but like kindness goes a long way. And just to smile at somebody, just like you said, it's a feeling, it's the vibe that you give off. People can feel that. And if you are just giving them a smile, holding the door for somebody, just giving, you can, people can feel your warmth or your negativity. So
Yeah.
it's just all about the way you give off your energy. So I just wanted to chime on that.
Absolutely true, right? That's absolutely true. And that's in any language. Someone can tell when you're
Yeah, love is any language, and it's universal.
and even someone being rude, you don't need to understand that person's language when you know.
Exactly right.
Okay, I got the message.
Right.
I just want
Michelle, sorry to cut you off, but Michelle, I put down at the bottom of the screen, best way to people reach you, LinkedIn, and also your website, michellecordycoaching.com.
Yes.
David, sorry I cut you off.
Oh, no worries. No, I wanted to second that everything is energy.
Yep.
And energy transcends time and space and language. And that's why on a Zoom call, you can say, whoa, is everything okay with you? Or, that you can pick up on that, or you're thinking about someone and then a few minutes later, they end up calling you or texting you. Isn't that incredible that happens? And it's because energy transcends time and space. And
it's that pull.
All energy. Yeah.
It's that pull. And David, again, people can find you on LinkedIn, obviously. And I'm super excited about your ZenZoom. We got to get you more followers on ZenZoom, so I hope people check out your page, right? ZenZoom Transformation. And that's your business page on LinkedIn, correct?
That's right. Yes. And I'm going to be, it's very much a work in progress. And I'm going to be adding a lot more content to the ZenZoom group page. And so there'll be a lot more to see, and a lot more that will be revealed as time goes by. It's going to be kind of a gradual rollout of resources that can help people along their spiritual awakening journey.
Well, I think that's just wonderful. And I'm so proud of both of you for going out there and starting what you do, living your authentic selves. I'm going to end, and I know I'm not supposed to ask any questions, but this is how I'm going to end it. My favorite quote, I end nearly every show with this quote. I want to ask each of you, do you have a favorite quote or something you want to leave the listeners with? So mine, as you know, and I think it fits into this conversation, Cindy Kahn is going to get me one-on-one with Dolly Parton, who actually said this. Find out who you are and do it on purpose. I live by that every day. You try to go by that. I love it. So now turning it over, I will be quiet. Back to Michelle and David. What last words do you want to leave with the audience?
Well, not necessarily just the last, not a quote, but just have unconditional love for yourself and, live in the present moment. Those are my biggest things is, and just be kind and loving to yourself, because we have to be our own best friend and cheerleader. And it starts with oneself, and then it ripples effect in the universe.
You're a living example of that every single day, and love to watch how far you've come. So thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
That's something I've learned from Michelle is
right?
Self-love. That's a huge part of what Michelle brings to our lives, is teaching us to love ourselves. And feel it to heal it is burned into my brain.
Tattooed up here for me.
We have to allow ourselves to fully experience our emotions, and then we let them go. We can release them, but we have to feel it to heal it. Mm-hmm. I have one of my favorite quotes is, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." That's a Rumi quote.
That's really, really great.
Profound spiritual truth in that quote. I'm convinced that Rumi was an ascended spiritual master.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And with that, I want to thank the two of you for taking the time to meet me today, interview me, and I hope those who tuned in, we want to say thank you and hope you learned something, and reach out to any of the three of us. We love these kinds of conversations, and check out Super Freaks. David, Michelle, you can put it in the comments later so people can check it out. I just think that those who tune in are looking for this kind of conversation, right? Uplifting. How can we change our lives, and how do we do it without copying somebody else? So thank you to the two of you for coming today, and looking forward to the next conversation, because I think we have to do this again.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Will. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Will. And thank you,
everybody
who's here today. Thank you so much.
Keep it kind out there, folks. The world needs it. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.